Maya loved chicken. She truly did. The crispy skin of her grandmother's roasted chicken was a Sunday ritual. It was more than food. It was a symbol of family, of warmth, of comfort. She would dream about the rich, savoury gravy, the tender meat falling off the bone. These meals were landmarks in her young life. They marked holidays, celebrations, and simple weekend gatherings. Meat was not just sustenance, it was joy, pure and simple. Her world was seasoned with the familiar taste of these dishes, a taste she associated with happiness and belonging, a heritage passed down through generations of shared meals and cherished moments. Family traditions often revolved around meat. Big holiday feasts always featured a magnificent roast. Summer barbecues meant sizzling burgers and smoky ribs. These were the smells and sounds of her childhood. To Maya, these meals were the threads that wove her family together. Sharing a steak was an act of communion. Passing a platter of sausages was a gesture of love. She never questioned it. Why would she? Everyone she knew ate meat. It was normal, it was expected. It was simply how things were done, a cornerstone of their shared cultural identity, unquestioned and deeply embedded within their daily lives and celebrations. The idea of a meal without meat seemed strange. It felt incomplete, like a story missing its main character. What would they eat at Thanksgiving without the turkey? How could a birthday be celebrated without a special meaty main course? These questions didn't even occur to her for many years. Meat was the centerpiece, it was the star. All other foods were merely supporting actors on the plate. This perspective was ingrained, part of the very fabric of her understanding of food and festivity. It was an unspoken rule, a culinary law that governed their gatherings and defined their celebratory feasts. She savored every bite, from the simplest weeknight chicken dinner to the most elaborate festive spread. There was a deep satisfaction in these meals, a sense of rightness, a feeling of being nourished, not just in body but in spirit too. The aroma of cooking meat filled her home with a sense of security. It was the smell of care, of tradition being upheld. This was her world, a world where meat was synonymous with good food, good times, and the deep, comforting embrace of family. She couldn't imagine it any other way, or so she thought at the time. Then one evening, something shifted. Maya watched a documentary. It wasn't planned, it just happened to be on. The film showed images she couldn't unsee, animals in small cages, their eyes filled with a kind of knowing, a knowing she hadn't considered before. Suddenly, the chicken on her plate felt different. It wasn't just food anymore, it was something else, something that had lived, something that had felt. This new awareness began as a small, unsettling whisper in the back of her mind, a tiny crack in the foundation of her lifelong beliefs about food. She started to read, timidly at first, then with a growing urgency. She learned about factory farming, about the conditions, about the sheer numbers. The scale of it all was overwhelming. She discovered how meat production affected the planet, the water used, the land cleared, the emissions released into the air. It was a hidden world, one that existed behind the neatly packaged products in the supermarket. This information painted a picture far removed from the idyllic farm images she had perhaps subconsciously held. The dissonance between her comforting traditions and these stark realities grew louder. With each page she turned. The conflict inside her grew. How could she love animals yet eat them? How could she care about the earth yet contribute to practices that harmed it? These questions echoed in her thoughts. They made her favorite meals taste a little less joyful. The crispy chicken skin now brought a pang of unease. The savory gravy felt heavier. This internal struggle was profound. It pitted deeply ingrained habits and cherished memories against a burgeoning ethical consciousness that demanded her attention, making her question the very foundations of her culinary world. Her family traditions, once a source of pure comfort, now felt complicated. The Sunday roast, the holiday turkey, they carried a new weight. She saw the animal behind the meal. She saw the resources behind the animal. It was a difficult realization, a painful one. The once simple act of eating became a moral quandary. She started to wonder if there was another way to eat, another way to live, that aligned more closely with the compassion she felt growing within her heart. This marked the beginning of a slow internal revolution, a questioning of everything she had once taken for granted. Giving up meat was not easy. It felt like saying goodbye to an old friend. The cravings were real. The habits were deeply set. She missed the familiar textures, the comforting flavors she had known all her life. The smell of her mother's cooking, once a pure delight, now brought a mix of longing and guilt. It was a genuine struggle. Her taste buds remembered, her mind remembered. The comfort food of her past called out to her, making the initial stages of her transition feel like a constant negotiation with herself. This was not just about food, it was about identity and belonging. Social situations became trickier. Explaining her changing diet to family and friends was daunting. Some understood, others were confused, some even made jokes. "Just one bite won't hurt," they'd say, or "Where will you get your protein?" These interactions, though often well-intentioned, added another layer of difficulty to her journey. She learned to navigate these conversations, sometimes with grace, sometimes with frustration. It required patience and a clear understanding of her own motivations, especially when faced with skepticism or gentle mockery from those closest to her. Maya decided to start small, very small. She introduced meatless Mondays into her week. One day, without meat, it felt manageable. It was a single step, not a giant leap. On Mondays, she explored simple vegetarian dishes. Pasta with vegetables, lentil soup, bean burritos. It wasn't about perfection, it was about trying. It was about taking that first deliberate action towards a different way of eating. This small commitment provided a structure and a sense of accomplishment, making the larger goal feel less overwhelming and more attainable. One meat-free day at a time. Slowly, she expanded her meatless days. She began to reduce her consumption of red meat first, then poultry. She discovered plant-based alternatives. Vegetarian sausages that surprised her with their flavor. Burgers made from beans and mushrooms that were genuinely satisfying. Each small change felt like a victory. Each new discovery made the path a little clearer. It was a gradual process of unlearning old habits and learning new ones. There were slip-ups, moments of temptation, but she kept going, driven by her growing conviction and the small successes that built her confidence. Exploring vegetarian recipes became an adventure. Maya bought new cookbooks. She scrolled through food blogs. She discovered ingredients she'd never used before, spices like turmeric and cumin, grains like quinoa and farro, an amazing variety of beans and lentils. Her kitchen transformed into a laboratory of flavors and textures. She learned to roast vegetables until they were sweet and caramelized. She mastered the art of making creamy sauces from cashews. Cooking became a creative outlet, a source of excitement rather than a reminder of what she was missing. The vibrant colors on her plate were a daily inspiration. She found immense joy in this new way of cooking. The dishes were vibrant, they were fresh, they were surprisingly delicious. She made hearty vegetable stews, flavorful curries, and colorful salads that were meals in themselves. She realized that vegetarian food wasn't about deprivation, it was about abundance. An abundance of flavors, an abundance of textures, an abundance of possibilities. Her palate expanded, and she began to appreciate the subtle tastes of individual vegetables and herbs in a way she never had when meat dominated every meal. This culinary exploration opened up a whole new world of sensory experiences. The changes weren't just on her plate. Maya started to feel different. She felt lighter. She had more energy. Her skin seemed clearer. These physical benefits were unexpected bonuses. She hadn't embarked on this journey for health reasons primarily, but she welcomed these positive side effects. It felt as though her body was thanking her for the shift. This newfound vitality reinforced her decision, making her feel more connected to her body and its needs. The physical well-being she experienced was a tangible reward for her commitment. More than the physical changes, her mindset shifted. A sense of peace replaced the unease she had felt. Eating became an act of alignment with her values. She felt a deeper connection to the world around her. Maya was eager to share her journey, not to preach, but to inspire, to show others that change was possible, that a plant-based diet could be joyful, delicious, and fulfilling. Her story was one of personal transformation, a testament to the power of questioning, learning, and choosing a path that felt true to her heart. She wanted others to know that their plates could also be a source of positive change.